guys, you can't share this video out. You've got to keep this really quiet. Don't share this video, and definitely don't send it to Warlord Games either. I'll get in so much trouble if you share this video out. Right, you know, a couple weeks back, or last week, whenever it was, I did the video on the cardboard hannomag from the starter set, the Warlord Games starter set for Bolt Action. Funny little video, had fun making it. It was April Fool's, obviously, just having a bit of a laugh. But Warlord Games don't make like an allied version of that. It's only the German one. So what I've done, I shouldn't really be showing this on video, but I've got some American half-track. They're 2D prints. I've done a lot of 3D printing. This is 2D printing. Now I can't tell you where I've got this from. I've got to keep my sources safe, all right? So I've got some 2D prints, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue them to some foam, some foam sheet, cut them out, and I think I can make. People won't be able to tell that it's not like an official one. I'm sure people won't be able to. Once we're done, this will look absolutely fantastic. And just so long as no one shares this video out, it'll all be fine. It'll all blow over. Don't worry about it. So I'm gonna glue this to some foam, cut it out, and let's see if we can make a fake model. Conveniently, I already have some foam board sheets that will do the trick nicely. A gift from Foxymets a few years back that I keep hidden in my printer room. I started by cutting down the print and a piece of board to an appropriate size to make it easier to work on. I tested a few different glues, and I actually strangely used the polyurethane primer that I had used in the original card model to seal the edges, because even though it's a primer, it's still a polymer binding material, and it just happened to work really well as a paper glue. I only tried it out as a hunch, and when I tested it, it worked really well. But almost as soon as I started, disaster struck. In closing the lid of the primer, it spattered some specks onto my print, and I didn't realise what it was at first and tried to wipe them away, and it looks horrible now. But it's fine, it's on the lower part and I can probably hide that. Wait, as soon as I smoothed the print onto the foam, I found out there were more spots of primer and just made the whole thing work. Now, I'm only making this video as a joke. I'm not going to get these reprinted just so I can do this correctly. I'm just going to stubbornly continue. Just roll with it, okay? With one side glued down and dried, I wondered how I would ensure that both sides lined up. And I had a few ideas, and most of my ideas would probably work well enough because it doesn't actually need to be perfectly lined up, just fairly closely lined up. And so I chose one that seemed like a low risk option and went with it. I started by cutting out the general shape of the final piece into the first half and the foam board. Similar to the official hannomag, I left a border, just a thin border of black around the image of the vehicle. And I have a metal spatula that I'm using as a straight edge to cut along to make it nice and neat. And once I had that general shape and specifically the ground level cut, I held the second side up to a light source and marked out where the front wheel and the track road wheels were, as well as the line of the floor as well, like I had cut on the first half. I lined it up and drew around it and cut out that outline, and then glued that second side onto the other side of the foam. And all was going well, and they did line up well enough for what I wanted it to do. With the second side in place and glued and dried, I finished off the border cutting, essentially finishing the shape at this point. Now I'm trying to keep this neat, and I'm trying to slice with my knife instead of hacking or sawing or dragging, which would leave tears in the paper. Before long I had it almost neatly finished, and so I just set about sealing the edges in the exact same way as I had with the cardboard hannomag, just with a little bit of that polyurethane primer. I realised that some of my offcuts could be used as the stands for the M3 half-track, so I set about cutting up some rectangles from just behind the front wheel, and then at the back I essentially had to cut somewhere inside the tracks to get good balance. Which was fine, as I could remove one of those streaks of primer. Only one of them, unfortunately, but it's better than nothing. The official card model had an overlap for the stand, where both the stand and the body were cut halfway, so in theory they would cut quite nicely, although mine didn't actually fit that well and I had to shim them.
But for my M3 half-track, in this case, I'm just going to cut the entire shape of the stand fully into the body piece and wedge it in place with a little bit of that black primer once again to seal the edges and to pretend to be glue, and it'll be strong enough to hold it in place, I'm sure. And that's it. That's all that needs to be done. It is finished. So how does it compare to the official model? Can anyone tell that it's not factory produced? Well, yeah. The corners aren't that neat really, and the streaks of primer really kind of do ruin the look. And whilst the card hannomag is just about the exact same size as the plastic one, my 2D printed American pictures were maybe 5% smaller than it should have been. Not enough to really notice, it's kind of close enough. The stands on the official one were the same width as the plastic model, and mine aren't, and they don't even match each other. But, you know, card standees have been around for a long time. They're a long-standing tradition of tabletop gaming, and my M3 half-track is certainly joining that trend. My card hannomag certainly raised some chuckles when I used it at the tournament recently, but nobody actually complained. And I think that even with its lower quality, nobody would complain about the American half-track either, so I probably will use it once, just once, for the memes, to raise a few chuckles. But yeah, I have my foam board M3 half-track to match my cardboard hannomag, and so I can say, I'm ED-SKaR, always will be, and thank you very much for watching.